Folks, the number one free agent in all of sports television joins us on the program.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's happening, everybody? Matt Derry with you on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Indeed, your team every day on a Tuesday, May 7th and a Wednesday, May 8th. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at Monopoly Go. We've touched on it. My wife's addicted to the game, Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. Join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store or Google Play. I mentioned it in the open. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the show today, formerly at NFL Network, legend out in Los Angeles, the TV voice of the Rams in the preseason, Peacock College Football, Andrew Siciliano is with us today. Drew, great to see you.
Diesel, that's an amazing introduction. You're full of it. I still love you.
No, I'm telling you. People have been asking me, when are you getting him back on the show? What's going on? The infamous morning from, I don't know, a month ago, and the Twitter sphere was abuzz about you, and my phone was blowing up. Everybody wants to know what's going on, how you doing, and what's next for you.
I believe the news leaked right after the Guardians' second series of – no, they just got back from Seattle, I believe.
Yes.
And that news hit. It was right after the eclipse. The eclipse was far bigger news. I am fine. Everything's good. I'm grateful for 13 years. I went in there one day, NFL Network, as a fill-in when the lockout ended in 2011, and they had to cover all 32 teams. And so they literally were out of hosts. They had hosts and reporters at all 32. They called me up and said, could you host for a couple of hours, like as an emergency fill-in as we send everyone out and about? And I said, sure. And that was the day Vince Young said dream team. And that was the day Peyton Manning showed up in Anderson, Indiana with a big neck brace on. And I ended up hosting 8 hours live. And then they said, can you come back and do it again tomorrow? I said, sure. We did 9 hours live the next day. And the next thing I know, like 2 weeks later, I was hosting Total Access. I did not expect to do anything other than a fill-in day. I ended up staying for 13 years. It was the job of a lifetime. We had a great run, and I am legitimately, this is not just lip service, I am legitimately excited for the future. We got some irons in the fire. We're cooking up some good stuff, and yeah, let's go.
That's it. You're ready to rock. Let's
do it, buddy.
Free agency.
As I like to say, I mean, when I see other people move on from jobs, they say something pithy like, I've entered the transfer portal.
Oh, God.
I don't know that I want to say I've entered the transfer portal. I don't know if I want to go back to like late 80s Plan B free agency. You guys remember that? Like Gerald Ice Cube McNeil was a Plan B free agent. Kevin Mack, a Plan B free agent, right? All the guys from the USFL. I don't know if I want to go there. I'm trying to find the right way to say it and to phrase it. Try to bring in the cap and post June 1, like all this stuff. But I haven't figured out the best way to describe it other than let's go. The season can't start soon enough.
No, and I know you were spotted at some Rams minicamp stuff. The draft was here in Detroit. It's been kind of a wild offseason. What did you think, by the way, of the showing here in Detroit? I mean, that crowd was crazy. Wasn't that awesome?
It was amazing. So you mentioned the Rams. I was actually at the Rams at their draft house, right? Because,
I did see that.
Who don't follow it, the Rams a bunch of years ago, because they don't have a lot of room in their facility here since they moved to St. Louis. They're still building out a permanent thing. So they're still, quote unquote, in temporary housing. Not really. I mean, they have a facility, but it's just not that big. And so what they've done the last couple of years is it's a brilliant marketing thing. They get a bunch of sponsors and they basically rent a mansion for a month somewhere in LA, and they've moved it around. They've done Malibu, they've done the hills, all kinds of places. And this year they have it 4 blocks from where I live, from my house.
Perfect.
Down by the beach. So Thursday and Friday, I basically hung out with the Rams and all their coaches, and we sat on the couch and watched the draft and put our feet up and drank beers. And every now and then you'd hear screaming from upstairs where the actual draft nerve center was, because yay, someone fell, or yay, we're going to get Jared Verse, or you know what I'm saying? And we all remarked, everybody, holy bleep, what a show Detroit is putting on and what a turnout in downtown Detroit. For those who don't know, nothing happens at the draft.
Not really.
The decisions are all made back in those 32 buildings. In the Rams' case, a rented house in Hermosa Beach. Okay, nothing is actually happening there. Now, there is entertainment, right? Like a bunch of my former NFL Network colleagues are up on stage and they're entertaining the fans that are there. And there's a house band, kind of like a wedding or bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
And there's giveaways, and there is kind of like an NFL carnival feel, like a fan fest at the Super Bowl kind of atmosphere. And there's the TV sets, but there's no actual action. I mean, the pick is made 3 to 4 minutes earlier when someone clicks their mouse in the Lions building in Allen Park or anywhere. And then eventually it gets onto the TV, and if the player is there are 13 players there. They walk across the stage. They hug the commissioner who had a bad back. They pose for the cameras, do the interviews. But there's nothing really to see. And to have hundreds of thousands of Detroit Lions fans show up to see that, it's amazing. And when what was it, 8 years ago? They took it out of Radio City because of a scheduling conflict. I think a lot of people were skeptical, but it has only gotten bigger, whether it's Chicago or Philadelphia or Nashville or Cleveland or Detroit.
No, it was fantastic. It was a lot of fun. It was a mob scene down there. When you look at how far they've come, and we've had you on the show before, but with where the Lions are now, how do you think they did in terms of the draft? We could talk about some of the picks, but like moving up, being aggressive, going for it, which is what Brad Holmes is doing. He did a lot of trading up. How did you kind of view what the Lions did?
Actually, if you want to go back to the crowd, I think the turnout does speak to the job Brad Holmes has done, especially last year, and the job Dan Campbell has done, especially last year, and the job Jared Goff has done, especially last year. You tell me you live there. If not for the winning and the success last year, would there have been that many people? Football's
of course
back.
not.
Right?
No.
Football's back. The fever is back, and that crowd spoke to it. I love Brad, and again, there's a Rams bias there from knowing him for all his years as one of Les Snead's deputies with the Rams, both here and in St. Louis. He has earned the benefit of the doubt after what he was able to do last year, when everyone sat there on that Thursday night and said, "What are you doing, Brad? You can't do that. You can't draft the football. You can't draft the linebacker. You can't draft the running back. You can't do all these things that you did." And I remember saying to friends, and I think I even tweeted it that night, hey, these are good football players.
Right.
Worry about the second contract later. These guys will all contribute immediately and make them a better team. And that's what they did. He hit multiple home runs last year. And who am I to suggest that this year he's not going to do the same? You need corner. You get Terrion Arnold. Would I have loved Quinyon Mitchell instead? Sure. But Terrion Arnold is a damn good player. They are in that post-playoff window of, they're drafting for immediate needs, but they're drafting blue-chip guys that you hope to plug in and take you one step further. And that goes for Rake Straw as well.
Andrew Siciliano, our guest here on Locked On Lions, a Tuesday edition, talking a little draft, NFL, certainly the state of the Lions as well. You mentioned Arnold, and then they get Rakestraw later. I mean, Drew, if we're talking weeks before the draft and doing 1,000 mock drafts, which is what I was doing leading up to it, you never thought in a million years you get both corners. Lions, of course, say, these were the top two corners on our board. But like you said, filling a need. Holmes, I think, had brought in for his top 30 visits. Half of them were corners, and yet that's exactly where he went.
Look what Philly did as well. Look what Howie Roseman did. And he had to make moves to get those two. But for him to get both Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, same thing. You can't go wrong doubling up. The Patriots doubled up, obviously, with tight ends. They've doubled up with wide receivers and corners as well over the years. The Ravens double up with tight ends as well. They doubled up with corners this year. So when Brad Holmes doubles up, when you address a need, not with one guy, but with two guys, and you have the ability to have those guys both from big programs, both competed at the highest level, and you could throw them in there and hopefully they stay healthy. And look, you need those guys, especially look at the wide receivers the Bears now have. Look at the wide receivers that the Packers, along with the tight ends that they developed last year, all of those guys homegrown, by the way. And look at the fact that you have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison in Minnesota. You can't get by these days with just one decent corner or one really good corner and one so-so guy. You need two great corners.
More with Andrew on the Lions, kind of the state of the team. We'll get into the NFC North as well. All of that coming up next. But first, let's tell you about our friends at Monopoly Go. I mentioned this before. This game is a lot of fun. My wife is addicted to it. Monopoly Go, we've been talking about it for a while. You team up with friends for timed tournaments where you can work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. You can do that at Monopoly Go. Plus, there's so much more that you can get. Unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, or you can go up against your friends and taunt them with emojis when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like Robot Pachinko Machine, Digging for Treasure, and so much more. There's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench, go download it now for free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on with our friends at Monopoly Go. Andrew Siciliano with us here on Locked On Lions, a Tuesday edition. Lions, of course, making a lot of moves, including today, Andrew. By the way, I want to get your thoughts on this. This is not a huge deal, but we've been talking about they need to add safeties. They're bringing C.J. Moore back, who was suspended last year for the entire season for betting on the NFL. He took his year off. Now he's back. Andrew, how do you view these guys coming back off of suspensions like that?
I think if you look at Calvin Ridley last year and then in the last couple of weeks, a bunch of the other guys that have been suspended right around the same time that CJ got suspended, I think it's now par for the course. If Ridley had come back last year after the Jaguars made an aggressive move and traded for a guy who at the time was suspended still on the Falcons roster, if he had come back last year and run into trouble, right? If he had been suspended again, if there had been an investigation again, if he had been anything other than the quote unquote exemplary citizen, I think other teams would be reticent to bring back the other players who were suspended. But if you're apologetic, if you move on, and if you sit out your year and do your penance, I think now there is a precedent around the league. You're going to be welcome back as long as your name isn't Porter in the NBA and you're throwing over under on fake injuries.
Oh my goodness. It'd be interesting too, is CJ Moore is a good guy. He's been here now. This will be his third stint with the team. Someone's going to ask him in the locker room when we get to mini camps and OTAs, like, isn't it BS that you got a full year off, yet there's the FanDuel sign, there's this sign, that sign, and it's a wild business right now.
It is, and he will be asked, and say what you want to say. He won't be the first player who's asked that. Matter of fact, players are asked that all the time who have not been suspended and have no connection to gambling nor desire to gamble. So it's a question that everyone in the NFL talks about. Everyone's got differing opinions, but it's not a taboo subject to say, is this right? Is this wrong? How do we all feel about the signage and the rules? NFL employees have certain rules. Players have rules that are very similar, but actually have a little more leeway than the quote unquote standard employee. Like, for example, a player can place a college basketball bet if they're not in the building.
Right, away from the building, right.
Correct. NFL employees, those who say work for the Lions in administration, or who work at the league office, or who work at other league satellite offices, cannot bet on sports, period, regardless of whether they are in or out of the building. So there are different rules all the way around. And what are we, 4 years into it now, 5 years into it? I have no doubt that they will evolve.
All right, so you look at the Lions post-free agency, post-draft now, adding, we talked about the draft picks, a DJ Reader, a Kevin Zeitler, How do you view Detroit? Where do you put them in the pantheon of the? We used to just say where do you rank them in the NFC. Now you got to say the whole league.
Yeah, I mean, I still think they're one of the top few teams in the NFC, and I would say they're one of the top 5 to 8 teams in the NFL. You can replay the Niners game all you want. They could have, should have won that game, and you'd be playing for a spot. You'd be in Vegas, really. So I think they got better, but so much of it depends on health. Their schedule doesn't do them any favors. They're on. I think they're top 10 or top 11 in terms of strength of schedule as we sit here right now without knowing the order of those games. The Bears are going to be better. I don't know about the Vikings. I think the Packers, and they won a playoff game a year ago, are going to be better. You have to start with their division. They're clearly the best team in their division. And they're a legitimate contender to be NFC champion. I think they would like to get the Jared contract done. I think Jared would like to get it done as well and get his third payday. He has earned it. I think that is the next piece, the big piece of the offseason here. Get the schedule out of the way and maybe get that done by training camp.
Is it with Goff just a fact of the matter that maybe, and could it be this simple, and you've been around teams for a long time, he wants that 5 before the 0? And the Lions might be saying, yeah, we're looking more at 48. And he's going, 51. I mean, is that what this is right now?
Listen, it's all about the guarantee in the first 3 years, the real guarantee. I don't think he would take less than what Kirk Cousins got. Right. He's younger, and he's had legitimate playoff success. He's been in a Super Bowl, and he almost made it back last year. Kirk Cousins has won 1. I realize it's a team sport. It doesn't win playoff games, right? He's coming off an Achilles, and he's 36 years old. Jared's younger. He's won playoff games, and he's healthier. So, yeah, the number should begin with a 5.
And the team that gave Kirk Cousins $45 million a year drafted his replacement.
I mean, yeah. And one of the reasons Kirk didn't want to stay in Minnesota was that the Vikings made it clear, listen, you're 36 coming off an Achilles. We're going to bring you back. We'd love to bring you back, but we're also going to have to draft somebody.
Right.
And that was certainly part of his decision-making to say, you know what, I'm good. I'm going to go to Atlanta. It's my home away from home, and they're going to pay me well.
All right, so NFC North. You obviously like the Lions to win it again, but Green Bay's there. You mentioned the Bears already. Vikings, you mentioned some of the weapons that they have. I don't know. You'll tell us if you think you're a JJ fan or not, but how do you look at the division?
Yeah, clearly the Lions are the best team. I mean, the big wild card here is how good are the Bears going to be. I'm a big Caleb fan, not just because he played down the street from me where I sit now in LA. I do think he is that good. I do think he can be a transformational player. How you plug his round peg into a Shane Waldron square hole, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, but they are undoubtedly, with Keenan Allen, with what's his name in the backfield who was in Philadelphia, Miles Sanders, they are a better football team right now, and with Roma Dunze, than they were 4 months ago. I don't know if their defense is going to be good enough. I don't know if they're going to be able to get after the passer sufficiently enough. The Lions are now the hunted. It's the other way around. It is it's a new life. I mean, you certainly had some of it last year, considering the way the Lions started or ended 2022. But they are clearly the best team. And then I think it's Green Bay. Although I'm fascinated to know what Jeff Hafley is going to do with that defense, and what that looks like. And then you have the Vikings, who I think it may be a struggle. I think it's going to be a rough road for them.
It's interesting because Brian Flores did such a good job with that defense. Mm-hmm. And they weren't terrible last year, but certainly the quarterback.
It's a ringing endorsement. They weren't terrible.
Well, I mean, we got to see 2 of the last 3 weeks of Nick Mullins' experience, which at times, he threw for over 400 yards in one of the games against the Lions, but then he kept throwing it to the wrong team. But do you think it's at what point? Because I saw your Instagram video a few weeks ago where you said all these quarterbacks are eventually going to start.
Yeah.
Do you have an over-under on when you think McCarthy gets the call, or are you one of these people that thinks he needs a whole year to watch Sam Darnold?
I think that Sam is going to hold him off for a little bit, but there's going to be a point where, because they're not going to be that good, I don't think personally, where you're going to turn to the rookie just because why not? Let's turn to the rookie, and you're going to know Sam Darnold is not your future. And the Instagram video you're referring to is, I said that all 6, and that includes Michael Penix in Atlanta, are going to find a chance to start at least one game. Now, I'm not saying Penix is going to be the starter. Kirk Cousins is the starter. I'm not predicting nor rooting for a Cousins injury here, nor one for Sam Darnold. But statistically, you are going to see all 6 of them. It's just the way it goes. And quarterbacks simply do not sit out anymore. Cousins is by far, we're talking about the 6 in the top 12. Cousins is by far the one with the best chance to keep his rookie on the bench. But getting back to your question about the Vikings, yeah, I do think we see JJ, and you probably see him for the majority of the second half of the season. Can Sam hold him off? Sure. Why not? But there's always pressure to get the kid on the field.
More with the great Andrew Siciliano. We'll do that next. First, though, let's talk about FanDuel, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. All of that is in full gear, and Major League Baseball as well. You want to get a shot to bring home a big win of your own? That is why you go to FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Tonight, Cavs Celtics. Oh, come on. Doesn't get much better than that, right? NHL playoffs. No clue who's playing, but hey, should be great. That's $150 on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. I think the New York Rangers are playing. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Andrew Siciliano with us, formerly of the NFL Network, does the Rams TV on the preseason. You're going to see him doing some college football again in the fall as well on Peacock. I was joking about the NHL and NBA playoffs. So what are you into? I know you and I are going to talk about this. We're watching every Cleveland Guardians game, but like,
is there a rain delay tonight? By the way, I just saw a tweet with the tarp.
Yeah, I've gotten some a text from some unnamed sources in Pepper Pike that the rain is coming down. Meantime, my brother has tickets for tonight, and you need to text him. He has not moved in 2 weeks. His back is so bad. He's having surgery Friday. Oh, yeah. He's on the floor. Like, we did our Dairy Brothers Guardians cast Monday, and he literally was on the ground with the microphone like this and laying on the floor. So not a good scene.
Been there, done that. Not for the surgery, but, man, that sucks.
Yes, it does. But, yeah, we appear to have a rain delay for tonight's unnamed team, as I like to call them, the Tigers against the Guardians.
Oh, I thought you're calling the Guardians the unnamed team because you're not embracing the Guardians.
No. My audience for this podcast, they know the deal. I used to wear a lot of Guardians or Tribe stuff on this show, and people gave me a lot of crap for it, so I mix it up. But
I got the hat on.
There you go. People need to know your family is originally
got
from
the black. Got the black hat on. Yeah,
I do like that look. That's a good look. What are you into right now? Have you been watching basketball? NHL? I think I saw you on Twitter last night following that Knicks Pacer game. By the way, that was horrible. What happened in Indiana last night?
It was horrible. It was a 30 for 30. It took 30 minutes to play the last 30 seconds.
Oh.
You had 30 fouls in the last 30 seconds. It was ridiculous. That said, Jalen Brunson's fun to watch.
Oh yeah,
he's great. And I have, when I say fallen in love with, this is going to suggest that I was unaware of him before 2 weeks ago. That is not the case. But like, how do you not love watching Anthony Edwards for the T-Wolves? Like,
it's true.
The guy's a joy to watch.
Yeah, he
I
is.
did not in any way expect them. And I am not pretending to be NBA guy. I do not watch until the end of the season and the playoffs. I watched like 5 minutes of the in-season tournament just to ask myself, what the heck is the in-season tournament?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the fact that they went into Denver and won 2, the fact that they did it the way they did it in game 2, that's ridiculous. The Lakers and the Clippers are done here. So there's not really and the Kings are done in the NHL. So yeah, there's not a lot going on here, but Shohei hit like a 900-foot home run.
I saw it last night.
That sounded like it was off. It was a cannon. So that's
what
I'm watching.
It's got to be amazing, and you know this because you were around it so much and working at the network and everything else. But like, I've done 4 or 5 different shows over the last few months when another sport just screws something up, whether it's NHL or NBA or Major League Baseball, with the stupidity that they have with certain things. And it's like the NFL makes some mistakes. We all do, but man, football is king. I was in the car today driving home and listening to the ticket, and Valeni, Mike was talking about the Tigers, and first caller said, well, thank God we got the Lions. And I'm like, what planet am I on? That in Detroit, people now are just, they're not even caring about the baseball team. The hockey team hasn't made the playoffs in forever. The basketball team's a mess. Thank God for the Lions. How about that?
Yeah, listen, they care about the Dodgers here. They truly, truly care about the Dodgers here. But you are just as likely to get, what do the Lakers do? Well, they just fired Darvin Ham, so they need a new coach. That's certainly going to drive sports talk radio right now. But even if they hadn't fired Darvin Ham, and let's say they had made it to the second round and then lost here in this round, the only conversation would be, is LeBron going to opt out? What's the deal with this? Why can't LeBron and AD win? Is it the coach's fault? How do they retool this roster? It's the Laker talk will dominate.
Yeah.
Absolutely dominate sports talk radio here. Until we get later in the season, there's certainly Dodger talk. When you get to the stretch run, and when you get to the postseason, yes, people love the Dodgers, but it is a Lakers town.
I've heard rumblings, and I've not confirmed this, of a possible Lions-Rams Week 1 Monday night game. Have you heard that at all?
I have not heard. I also have not checked in to see if that is a thing. I can tell you right now, as we record this, it is, can I say when it is? It's Tuesday evening when we record this. There is still, as of 2 hours ago, some uncertainty as to, last time I checked in with anybody, when exactly the schedule would drop.
Yes.
Because for the last couple of weeks, the internal speculation has been this Thursday the 9th. It makes sense on a lot of levels.
But it's not happening, I don't think.
It has not yet been announced that it is going to be Thursday the 9th. And just to pull the curtain back, this is not a state secret. The league will always tell you the schedule is done, or the schedule is released when the schedule is done. And as Mike North, one of the guys charged with putting the schedule together, will tell you all the time, listen, we have these computers for months spitting out possible schedules. And like it? Nope. And you only get like a handful, 5 or 6, that are even possibly playable, because there are so many different variables. Let's say the Lions may have a concert coming to town, right? Week 4, can't have it. Might have a monster truck show week 6. All right, so you got to be on the road weeks 4 and 6. Let's say the Jets and Giants don't want a home game on Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah. That makes sense. They'll put in those requests. Let's say Dallas doesn't want a game this week because there's a marathon, or there are all these requests, and it eliminates so many possible different schedule options. And then it comes down to, everyone looks at it and goes, is this fair and equitable? Are the networks getting the right amount of games, right? Is it fair to the Lions or the Rams or whomever that they have to play 3 consecutive games on the road, or 3 at home, or they don't get enough home games in December, they get too many in September? And for a long list of reasons, schedules that look good at the last minute go, nah, throw it away. Doesn't look good. Why? Because, well, then this would hamstring the league or hamstring the networks into only being able to use 3 possible teams on Christmas, let's say, right? Or 4. And you don't like those 4 teams because there's a chance that 3 of those 4 are going to be really bad. Nope, throw it away, do it again. And the schedule's released when they find one that works. It generally is this coming Thursday, but that doesn't mean it's going to be this year.
Andrew, unlike Gabe Arias in center field, you always come through.
Why is he in center field?
Never again.
Oh,
never again.
God.
That's radio. That's radio for 2 right now.
I mean, Tyler Freeman looks like Willie Mays in center.
He's the man.
He looks like Grady Sizemore in center compared to Gabriel Arias. Bless his heart for trying in center field. And you know what's funny about that game over the weekend, or whatever it was last week, as we go on a sidetrack and he ruined that game, is the first couple of innings, I thought to myself, okay,
Not
They're
bad.
surviving.
Yeah.
This might work. and then there were like consecutive balls. And
Oh, yeah. Scorchers.
And wasn't that the game too where Bo Naylor had a pass ball, or he airmailed a throw into center?
Yes.
Where you could just see he had that look on his face, like, I don't like my job and I don't think I'm going to go anymore. Right? You're going to quit? No, I'm just not going to go anymore.
That's right. All right, my friend. All the best. We'll hear from you soon, I'm sure, and take it easy.
All right, my friend. Be good.
There he is, Andrew Siciliano, with us here on a Tuesday Locked On Lions. Bradford Banta going to join us on Thursday. We'll be back again tomorrow.